They're going to push everybody up to the church. They're going to come up and make a statement up at the church. Okay. Y'all. Follow that officer just right down the street.
Block 6, y'all need to get okay.
I don't know, sir. I can't tell you.
Let's go. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Keep going, sir. Hey, I know. They're going to put you right in.
Ladies and gentlemen.
He's moving everybody up there now so he can do it. Thank you.
Which way you want? Figure this way? Or you want against the bushes?
I think we use that way.
That's fine.
That way the sun's setting that way.
We'll do that.
That way he's not as tall as we are.
Yeah, we're going to back.
Scooter back that way.
We get the... You want to back? You want to back up a little bit so it's nice.
Fall back down here. That way he's looking down here.
Hey, we're set up so when he comes up to the front of the screen, he'll set the live. The PIO is not going to come up right now. It's going to be a very brief statement. So. All right, cool.
Yeah, very short statements already about 3 minutes.
Testing, test.
Doing good, sir.
Good evening again, everybody.
Oh, he's about to go live.
We'll give y'all just a moment. We'll give y'all time.
Here.
Come over here. Silencing my phones. Give me just a
Oh,
moment.
you're good.
Lauren, are you going live?
Hey, careful, Vincent.
I'll wait on them.
Yeah, please don't get hit.
See your white piece of paper is playing. I'm going to wipe out my camera, sir. You're good. Right there, that's perfect. Thank you.
Can we wait just a few minutes?
Of course. I'm
Yeah,
going to
you
give y'all.
You're good.
Y'all
Thank
ain't
you.
gotta run this.
You can walk up a little closer.
Yeah,
Of course. I will. Not make that traffic. Of course. I think I've got one more coming. Can y'all give me just a moment to confer with him?
Yes, sir.
I mean, they haven't gone up, y'all. I don't know what to say. But he just took the rain.
You see, I was gonna grab my car, but then I was like, by the time I do that,
Alright, come back over here. Yeah.
you come up a little closer for us, sir.
He's talking right now.
Y'all tell me when you're ready.
We're ready, sir. We're ready.
Okay. My name is Shane. Give us one moment on the siren. All right, I'm Captain Shane Ware with the Vestavia Hills Police Department. With me is Lieutenant Mike Keller. Both of us will be handling any media statements this evening. At about 6:22 p.m. this evening, the Vestavia Hills Police Department was dispatched to a call of an active shooter at the St. Stephen's Episcopal Church located at 3775 Crosshaven Drive in Vestavia Hills, Alabama. Multiple police and fire departments responded to the scene, and at the time I'm able to confirm to you that we have multiple people that have been shot. The suspect is in custody. The scene is still being actively worked, and I'm not going to be able to give you any additional information at this time. I do plan to meet back with you at about 8 o'clock this evening to give you some additional details. That is all I can give you at this time. I'm not going to be able to take any questions, okay? Thank you.
Meet right here.
Right here. Let me apologize. All media briefings will be right here this evening, okay? If we shift anywhere else, we will notify each of you, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Take a break.
Yes. Yes, sir. St. Stephen's. Hey guys, let me clarify with you. It is St. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry to bother you. But right between the house over here, Crosshaven Overton, where St. Stephen's Episcopal Church is, they have an active shooting with multiple people down inside the church. They won't tell us how many are hurt, how many are dead, or whatever. The suspect is in custody, is active, is one right now. But anyway, person's been captured, he's caught, but they will not tell us where they are. And all they say is there are multiple people injured, and the suspect is in custody. girls. All right. Oh, yes. Let me go. I got to get busy. Thank you. Talk to you later.
That way. Let's go. No. That way.
Hey. Hey, Busy. Hey, Busy. He didn't say we had to stay here, did he? I thought that was just for media talking. Miss Thomas here at 8 o'clock.
That's what he said, yeah.
The records back there, I heard him say the suspect car is a silver or something. I saw a record back there. I'm scared it's about to come out with it, and I don't want to leave.
No, you're fine. I'll move it up there. You said you're at the Shell?
Biggest issues is trying to question this person, figure out what happened and why, and then go from there. And also, of course, meanwhile, while that is going on, everyone is, of course, worried about these multiple people who've been injured. You have to think at this point, they're certainly at a hospital right now. There are many in that area where they're going to be dealing with this.
Of course. And
go ahead, Meryl.
And with it being a church event, Stephen, it can be elderly, it can be children, adults, teens, it can be all age groups with it being a church event. So, I mean, it's definitely something we're waiting to find out, to get more information just on how many people are injured and the extent of their injuries and just what all led up to this. And of course, you can see this is still a very active scene. Police are still there, just working to figure all of this out. Again, we do expect to get an update at 8 o'clock from police. The Vestavia Hills officer who spoke with us not too long ago said that they would give us an update at 8 o'clock. So we are waiting to get that information. And of course, we will stay here with you to pass that on to you.
And there are a lot of questions that are still out there this evening regarding what has happened, including what we know about the suspect and also the extent of the injuries of these people and how many exactly were hurt in this shooting in the Birmingham area today. But certainly this is something where this is an area, as I mentioned earlier, in Vestavia Hills, a very quiet, frankly, sleepy neighborhood. This is all behind the summit there, really more towards the Cahaba Heights area, and an area now that is having to deal with violence, with a shooting, with multiple people that have been injured in this community, and now are searching for answers. And the police, as you see here, are working for those answers. And having talked to police, when we first started hearing about that this was going on, made a call over to an officer there at Vestavia Hills Police Department. And I can tell you, within about 20 minutes, Muriel, of when we first heard the reports around 6:30. So at about 7 o'clock, I can tell you by that time, the police were at the church. They were inside the church. So that tells you how quickly they were able to get their hands around this. And we also know that at that point, the church was being evacuated. So was this an active shooter that was in the church, or
on the outside,
simply came in or came out? Those are questions we want to know the answers to. And I can tell you, if you are trying to drive, we see there, Muriel, a lot of people are headed home from work right now.
Yeah, and we just heard from our director that's actually Overton, that they're rerouting and directing people over there because, of course, you can see from our cameras, we're not allowed to be close to that scene. They usually push the media back just a while, maybe like a block away, just so we're not in the way of this investigation or not in harm's way. So, of course, they're not letting people drive down that street either, and they're turning them off onto Overton in that area. But again, as Stephen mentioned, just several questions we are waiting to get answers to right now, because just to hear multiple people shot at a church during a church event, of course, that raises flags for anyone. And as he mentioned, this seems to be one of those quiet neighborhoods where we don't hear many things happening over in that area. So again, we do expect to get an update again at 8 o'clock from police. That's about maybe 20 minutes from now. We will stay with this and bring you more information and bring you those updates straight from police as we get them.
And one other thing I can add, Muriel, you know, this is an area as you look over there, the church, for a perspective for you, the church is down the road, I believe, and to the right. And you can see that would seem in keeping with where you see police aligned there in this situation. And ironically, this is an area, as I mentioned, a residential area. In fact, there's another church, Cahaba Heights Baptist Church, just a block down the road. And what we don't know, again, why this church, right?
Right.
There's other churches there in the community.
Yeah.
There are others. That is another question that we're certainly going to be wanting to find out.
But we do know they did have some things going on there tonight. Looking at their website, I checked their website, and it looks like they had a knitting group there that ended at 6 o'clock, and then they had a potluck there tonight. And this is coming from their website. So there were people there to some extent, of course. Just how many, we're not sure, but they were having something there at the church tonight, according to their website. So again, still many questions unanswered.
And Muriel, there is certainly, this is of utmost importance. There is a programming note, of course. There are many of you who I suspect in 20 minutes are watching the NBA Finals. Game 6 is tonight. We're going to give you an update as soon as we have in terms of programming. Obviously, though, our foremost concern is the people right there in this community. And this briefing is scheduled to begin at 8 o'clock. I understand that is when the coverage is coming up. We'll give you an update. We're working right now to see how we're going to handle that. But we will be bringing you that briefing, I can promise you that, regarding this shooting again that happened just over about an hour and 20 minutes ago in this community in Cahaba Heights. So many people, as you can imagine right now, are praying for loved ones, trying to figure out what has happened in this community and what they are dealing with. Multiple people injured in a church right here outside of Birmingham, Alabama. It's hard to believe, Muriel.
It is, and as you mentioned, where we may not take the game right as it starts because we're going to stay with this, and that's because, as I mentioned, we've had a lot of mass shootings recently throughout the country, and now this is a situation where it's in our own backyard. So, of course, we're going to stick with this and bring you updates and bring you more information as we learn it and get those questions answered for you as well.
And Muriel, I can tell you, we are going to put our press conference and the game in two boxes here on the screen. We just heard that from the back. So if you are waiting to watch the game, and I don't want to take too much time on this, but I do know people are watching and wondering about that. We will have a double box, and obviously our priority is what's going on in our community right now. There are certainly other ways. We now live in the age of streaming where you can watch that as on other ways as well. But certainly a very sad day in Vestavia Hills in this community at a church where there are now questions about why this has happened. You see there, you are looking live, by the way, at St. Stephen's Episcopal Church, or at least as close as we can get to it. This is Overton Road that is blocked off here as police are working to try to investigate why this happened and who was involved. We know that that suspect is in custody, and we know that there are people injured tonight. Certainly, we're praying for them, that they are okay. We know that many of you have questions right now about what has happened. We're working to get you as much as possible, as quickly as possible. I can tell you that Vestavia Hills Police, though, are the ones who are involved in this, but we also, as you have seen, have federal agencies, the ATF that is on the scene, as well as other police departments, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, all there right now. You can imagine when a call like this comes out, Muriel, a church shooting, that everyone answers.
Yeah, this is an all hands on deck situation. You can see in our video, Shelby County Sheriff's Office is out there. I believe Mountain Brook also tweeted out not too long ago when this happened that they were assisting. So when something like this happens, multiple people shot, several agencies come out to assist and to help in any way possible with a situation like this. And speaking more about what was happening at the church tonight, based off their website, I'm actually looking at it right now. We mentioned that they were having a potluck. They called it a Boomers potluck. They said that it was going to be at 5 o'clock in their parish hall. It was bring your own bag, bring your own dish to share. They said that there would be no program, just simply time for people to eat and have time to fellowship. And that was from 5 to 7 tonight at the church. Again, that's according to their website. So as you can imagine, a potluck, probably several people there to be a part of this and fellowship as well. Again, we are expecting to get an update in about 15 minutes at 8 o'clock from Vestavia Hills Police. They are the ones, it seems, who are leading this investigation as of now. That's who we heard from earlier when you saw that press conference really quickly from one of the police officers there. So again, we are expecting to get more information and update in about 15 minutes. We will stay with this to bring you that information. Police have confirmed multiple people shot at St. Stephen's Episcopal Church in Vestavia Hills. The suspect is in custody. And again, many unanswered questions here tonight. Those questions we are hoping to get answered in just a few minutes, Stephen.
And I can tell you, just scurrying or looking back through some information that Vestavia Hills Police had, this is a call that did come in as an active shooter. And so that gives you a sense of what police were walking up to. At 6:22 this evening is when that call came in about an active shooter at this scene. Police from across the area. I can tell you that one of those, you see a police officer there from Mountain Brook, was on I-459 when I talked to him. And needless to say, they were rushing towards the scene. Many of them, perhaps like you, at home, in their communities, dealing with this and hearing this news and rushing towards the scene, Muriel. And I emphasize towards the scene.
Yeah, and that, I mean, that's what they're trained to do. When there's a situation like this, active shooter, anything, any type of emergency call, that's what they're trained to do, to rush to the scene, to rush to what's going on, and to pretty much just resolve the issue. And as you can see, this is still a very, very active scene. That suspect is in custody, but there still are different things they have to do with this investigation. And of course, they're probably still combing through and going through evidence here at the scene just to figure out what exactly happened here and why. And again, we are waiting to find out just how many people were injured. We know they say multiple. We're waiting to see how many that includes and the extent of their injuries as well.
The good news, however, and one of the things we don't know is the condition of the suspect. We were not told, and so I don't want to say, but we were not told whether or not this person was arrested, peacefully, or whether or not they were injured in any way. Police didn't allude to that, so I don't want to. So many of the times, however, we've seen situations involving a police from an active shooter where they talk about, perhaps, we've heard about what happened in Texas with someone barricaded in, and sometimes these things end with the suspect being shot. It does not appear, or at least we don't know how this person was taken into custody. So that is a question. But police did brief us about 30 minutes ago about this situation, addressing it. And if we can, we want to go back and show you some of what they said in that initial briefing about 20 minutes ago.
At about 6:22 p.m. this evening, the Vestavia Hills Police Department was dispatched to a call of an active shooter at the St. Stephen's Episcopal Church located at 3775 Crosshaven Drive in Vestavia Hills, Alabama. Multiple police and fire departments responded to the scene, and at the time I'm able to confirm to you that we have multiple people that have been shot. The suspect is in custody. The scene is still being actively worked, and I'm not going to be able to give you any additional information at this time. I do plan to meet back with you at about 8 o'clock this evening to give you some additional details.
And that was Captain Ware there with the Vestavia Hills Police Department, who you heard updating at the time. That was about 20 to 30 minutes ago when that press briefing happened, letting us know exactly what was going on in this situation. We're expecting another one of those in about 12 minutes, and inevitably, as we told you earlier, Muriel, this is a neighborhood. This is a community, and so when something happens in your community, inevitably people start to walk out.
Yeah, and you can see that right now. People come out. They want to see what's going on. They want to find out more. It's happening in their neighborhood. As I mentioned, it's happening in their backyard. So they're curious. They want to find out what's going on and get more information and see it firsthand for themselves. So that's what you see right there. Our camera showing you people who are kind of just gathered at the scene, of course, pushed back from the actual spot at the church, but just gathered out there just to see what's going on and to get more information. But again, we do expect to get an update in about 10 minutes at 8 o'clock. We will stay with this to bring you that new information, that press conference at 8 o'clock. So you will hear that here as soon as it starts.
And this, again, if you are just joining us, as inevitably I suspect many people are saying, turn on the news.
Yes.
This is a shooting that happened earlier this evening at St. Stephen's Episcopal Church in Vestavia Hills. The shooter is in custody. We do know, however, that that was not before multiple people were injured. Police have not said how many, Muriel.
Right, and that's the question. Like I said, many questions unanswered tonight, many questions we're waiting to get answers to. They say multiple people shot, and multiple can mean 2, it can mean 3. So right now we don't have the exact number, and that's what we're hoping to get an update on in about 10 minutes at 8 o'clock. Just how many people were injured and the extent of their injuries. So we do expect to get more of that information for you in just a few minutes. And again, like I said, we will stick with this and bring you those updates as we get them.
You can imagine what it might be like to be in a church and then hear shooting, gunfire. Yep. We know that this was a church where there was a potluck dinner being had tonight at 5 o'clock. So there were a fair amount of people inside the church for a Thursday night. Most people, it's Wednesday night. This church, as you mentioned, this weekday gathering happening on a Thursday. What does that tell us? Well, it tells us that there were people inside and that they had been gathered there. Did this shooter know that? That we don't know. We don't know if there's any connection. Why this church in particular? As I mentioned, there's a church, a Baptist church, just a block down the road as well. So was there a specific target? Those are questions we're hoping to try to get answers from police in a press conference that is expected to begin about 9 minutes from now.
At 8 o'clock.
And I should add, that is when coverage of the NBA Finals is expected to begin, as we touched on earlier. Just as a programming note, we are going to put that in boxes. You will be able to see the game, but our coverage and our focus will be on what's going on here in our community in Vestavia Hills. There are many ways to stream that game as well. We will stay with this as long as that briefing holds to get you the most up-to-date information about what has happened there. As I mentioned, we do have a photographer. Our chief photographer, Bill Castle, as you saw a moment ago, is there on the scene. This is an area we're expected to be provided those updates.
It looks like he's getting set up for that press conference at 8 o'clock.
All right, and we are expecting an update from one of our colleagues. ABC 3340's Valerie Bell is on the scene as well to give us a better sense of what it is like there on the ground. What we can tell you, though, is that that road, Overton Road, in that area is cut off right now as police continue their investigation.
Traffic over there.
And also that there are, as you imagine, this is a neighborhood. That map shows you this. And so inevitably people are going to want to know what happened in their community. Some of them were perhaps even driving home from work, something to consider as well, when this happened. As I said, police were able to respond to this scene at about 6:22 this evening is when that happened. And then from there, they went and were able to get this under control within, it appears, at about 30 minutes or so, because we started seeing reports about that, and then immediately at 7:20, police were able to be able to give us the news that the suspect was in custody. And we also knew that police had told us, police that I had spoken to, that they were inside of the church within about 20 minutes after that first call. So that gives us also a sense, Muriel, of how quick or relatively quick the response was to this incident.
Yeah, and not to just assume, but usually when they have the suspect in custody, a lot of times that means that the response was rather quickly because they didn't have time to run away or to get away from the scene there. So that leads you to think that they did respond rather quickly. And if it happened at 6:22, they got the call of an active shooter. And from when we got that update, it seems like they got there in with a reasonable good amount of time. So again, we are expecting to get an update. And as you see me looking up, I'm looking at our clock there. But we are expected to get an update at 8 o'clock. That is in less than 10 minutes. We're expected to get that from Vestavia Hills Police. We're hoping to get more information. We know multiple people have been shot. We know that the suspect is in custody, but we're hoping to get more information as to just how many people are injured, the extent of their injuries, as well as maybe some idea of what may have led to this as well. So again, we're hoping to get that in really about 5 minutes from now at 8 o'clock, and we will stay with this until that time to give you that information, so you'll be able to hear that press conference live as it's happening as well. And we will, as a side note, put up the NBA game. We know that's happening as well. We'll put that in a double box. So for those of you joining for that, you'll see that. But again, this is in our own backyard. I mentioned we've had mass shootings recently. throughout the country. This is something that's happening here. So we're going to stick with this and update you with all of the information that you need to know. Stephen?
And this is a church that has been in this community, and one that certainly is mourning and grieving right now. You can imagine what it must be like for them. This is the Vestavia Hills community, but this is truly their backyard, their church where this happened, and one now that is dealing with multiple people who've been injured in this shooting. Their conditions are one we don't know yet, and we don't know the relationship between the shooter as well as the people that were involved here and were shot as a result of this. Now, this is a church with about a dozen staff, as well as four pastors and members of their clergy there at that church. And we know that there were members of the church there when this shooting happened. A potluck, according to their website, was being held, and it started about an hour before this shooting, a little over an hour before this shooting was first reported to police in Vestavia Hills. It came in as an active shooter call. Now, we want to go to ABC 3340's Valerie Bell, who is on the scene right now. Valerie, we've got the information about what has happened. What can you tell us? What is the scene like out there right now?
Yeah. Stephen, right now, as you can see, the road is still blocked off over there by the church. Now, this happened just before 6:30, and crews got here as soon as they can to block off the road to prevent people from coming into that scene. Now, we don't really have much details about what's going on right now. We do know that that shooter is in custody. Police confirmed that for us a little while ago. We also know right now that multiple people were shot. Now, I know we have a lot of questions about how many people, the extent of their injuries, and we're working to get those answers for you at this hour. Now, actually, just here in a few minutes, we are expected to hear from Vestavia Hills Police at 8 o'clock, and we will update you with more information as soon as that comes available to us. Stephen?
And Valerie, you're there. We know usually when you're there at the scene, you're the eyes, you're the ears. Kind of walk us through what it's like out there right now.
Muriel, it definitely feels tense. I know a lot of people standing around, in nearby apartments and things of that nature, people on the streets here asking a lot of questions. And like I said, we don't really have the answers to those questions right now, but we're hoping to get those soon. Now, traffic is moving slowly. You can see when cars come up the road, people are definitely curious about what's going on here tonight, and everyone has the same thought in their head, just hoping that those people who were injured are okay tonight.
Valerie, you see the police there, and I'm curious as you look at this right now. They appear to be at least standing. They're not having to run. Obviously, the suspect is in custody. It appears that there is, at least in that sense, some calm. I understand, obviously, that this is a very tense scene nonetheless.
Yeah, Stephen, I think in these situations when police are here, people feel a lot more safe. Now, again, we know that the suspect is in custody, so I feel like there's a lot of ease knowing that at this time. But like I said, we still have a lot of questions about the extent of those injuries of the people who were shot here at that church tonight.
And Valerie, as we've seen and as you've mentioned, people are kind of out there standing and just wanting to get more information and just see what's going on. Have you gotten a chance to speak with anybody out there to see if they heard any of those gunshots or if they heard anything or saw anything?
Muriel, not at this time. I haven't really gotten the chance to speak with anyone out here. I just arrived to the scene a little bit ago, and I'm still working to get more information on that. I know a lot of people have asked me questions. I know I received a message from someone earlier asking if they had any information. They said that they know someone that goes to that church and was asking if we had any more information at this time. And like I said, as soon as we get that, we will update you, of course, on air and online. And we should be expecting an update. It is 7:59 right now, and police are expected to speak here in the next minute. So,
all right, Valerie Bell reporting live there from the scene, and that scene is St. Stephen's Episcopal Church in Vestavia Hills. We will establish a live shot, as she mentioned a moment ago, Mira. We're expecting an update from police, the first one in about 40 minutes, any minute.
Yes, any minute now. Really, it's going to start at 8 o'clock, and right now it's about 7:59. And we will stay with this, as I've mentioned throughout this. We'll stay with this and bring you that press conference live here on air so that you'll get a chance to hear that new information as we learn it as well. But again, Shane Ware with Vestavia Hills Police spoke earlier. He confirmed multiple people shot, also that the suspect is in custody. Again, as we've mentioned, we looked at the website of the church and we saw that they had a knitting class a little little earlier today. That ended at 6 o'clock. And then they were having a potluck. They said it was a Boomers potluck. Everyone was welcome to come and just fellowship. There wouldn't be any program tonight, just a chance for people to come and bring their own dishes. So, of course, as you can imagine, Stephen, probably maybe a good bit of people there just to be a part of this. So, again, we are waiting to find out and learn more. In just a few minutes, we're expecting them to walk up and give us an update on that, just to let us know how many people were injured and the extent of their injuries, and maybe even give us some details on to what led to this.
Too often, you see these situations and places and churches become etched in our memory. People remember Charleston, South Carolina. They remember Mother Emanuel. They remember these areas where these shootings come in, and you can't help but wonder, is Vestavia Hills and St. Stephen's Episcopal Church now going to join that list? We don't know yet, and I don't want to conflate this with others in terms of we don't know what motivated this shooting. We don't know what involved the shooter. Was this a specific target? Was the church the target? Was a specific person inside? I can tell you what with very, very much clarity that I can be safe in assuming that police right now are working to find those answers out as well. They're trying to find out more about this person who caused the shooting that happened in our community.
Definitely. And once they get that, usually once they get that suspect into custody and they've cleared everything and make sure everything is safe, of course, that's the next question. Just what led to this, why this church, why you decided to do this, just again, so many unanswered questions that we're hoping to get answers to in just a few minutes. Just looking over to our rim shot, it looks like someone's walking up now, and she may be updating us with a time.
That appears to be, and I'll jump in there if we can, what we're looking at right here. This is just, what you are seeing right here is an area, this is just off the other side of Overton Road, and you're seeing everyone getting ready. We are waiting right now, any moment, from another briefing update from police about what is going on. And so that is why we are on the air right now in the middle of NBA Finals coverage to give you an update about this shooting, one that has left multiple people injured in the Vestavia Hills community, one that certainly has changed the atmosphere, the tenor, on what was a Thursday night, a hot, sweltering night when people were gathering to enjoy a potluck dinner at this church.
Right. And again, not sure how many people were at that potluck, but it's a church. It seems a rather large church as well. So just not sure how many people were there, but we do know multiple people were shot. So we're just waiting to find out how many were shot and the extent of their injuries. Again, that press conference was set to start at 8. It is 8:02. You can see we do have it set up there. We're just waiting for police to walk over to give us those updates, to give us more information. But all of this is understandable when we're waiting for police to come to us to give us information, because with a scene like this, they're still working to gather details, working to investigate this. So when they do talk to us, they will be giving us factual information and giving us what we need to know versus just kind of rushing during their initial investigation of everything. And we'll see if she's...
And this is, as you might imagine, a very tenuous time. You've got a lot of people right now who have loved ones who may know someone at that church, right? And want to know what's going on. And that's why we're trying to be very careful in what we report to you. I know it may seem sometimes like we are repeating some of this information, but you have to be careful in these kind of situations because of how serious it is about what we're getting and what is accurate and what we know. And what we know, as we've told you, is that the suspect, the shooter, is in custody and that multiple people have been hurt. You can imagine there are people flooding this area. We've already seen the images of people in the neighborhood, people driving up there, just seeing for themselves what we've been seeing for the better part of an hour now.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to say a little bit with police as well. Of course, we're waiting to get more information, but with them, they still have to evaluate everything and investigate everything and kind of go through some of this before they give us information. So again, that's a process within itself. And as Stephen mentioned, we can only give you what we know and what we have. And right now, what we do know and what we have confirmed from police, multiple people shot. The suspect is in custody. And from their website, what we've seen with the church, St. Stephen's Episcopal Church, they were having a potluck there. And that was supposed to go up until 7 o'clock. And I believe it started at 5. And they say that this active shooter call came out at 6:22. So, of course, just working to figure out what all happened within this time frame there.
What you were looking at there is one of the officers, I believe that appears to perhaps be one of the police officers that was involved in our briefing. So we will hang tight. We're all waiting as much as you are to try to get some new information on this. But this, again, is something where, you know, we talk about these national stories involving shootings. And inevitably, Muriel, whenever you talk about one of these things, you always hear someone say, I can't believe it happened in our community. And we don't know the circumstances here, but we do know that a shooting has happened at a church in our community, in Vestavia Hills.
And as I mentioned, this is one of those situations where we've seen and heard about these mass shootings throughout the country recently, and now it's one that's in our own backyard. It's here, and again, we know multiple people have been shot, but we're still waiting to find out the exact number. But still, it's an active shooter situation. It's at one of the churches here in our community. So, of course, many people are waiting to get more information and to find out exactly what happened here, why this shooting, why this church, how many people injured, and just the extent of their injuries. We did see police pull up over where our cameras are set up for that press conference. It was set to start at 8. It is 8:06 right now, but we are sticking with this, waiting to get an update from police, hoping they can answer just many of the unanswered questions. But again, this is just still very early in this investigation, so they can only give us what they've been able to gather. And of course, we can only give you what we've been able to get from police. But again, we are waiting for that press conference to start, waiting for police to give us some more information. But we can confirm multiple people shot, and the suspect is in custody here tonight.
As you see, police have been gathering in this area. This is just about roughly about a block away from where the church itself is, which is again near the intersection of Overton Road in Vestavia Hills, a suburb of Birmingham, Alabama, for our viewers who are not as familiar with this community, where this shooting happened more than about an hour and a half ago. And we know that this was a community that was gathering together, this church, St. Stephen's Church, Episcopal Church, I should add there, and they were working on a potluck dinner. Been there for about an hour or so when this call came in. And now the question is this people in this area, the multiple people that have been shot, how are they doing? We certainly hope that they are okay. But that is now belonging to the work of first responders who got to that scene, we can say, very quickly. At least within 20 minutes, it appeared that police were on the scene. And we know that that suspect was in custody at some point between 6:22 and, safe to say, about 7:15 that evening. Police were inside of that church within about a half an hour. Now, they could have been there sooner. That's the latest point we know. And as you see right here, we have the NBA Finals tonight as well. And that is going to be how we're going to cover this for the moment, having this in a picture-in-picture. I understand there are a lot of people who want to watch the game, but look, this is our community. These are people who are desperate for information now about loved ones who've been involved in this shooting. So this is how we're going to handle things, at the very least, until this briefing, which is supposed to be happening at any moment, continues. Or we had our first one about 50 minutes ago. We're expecting another one. It was supposed to begin at 8 o'clock. Obviously, not everything runs according to schedule.
5 minutes? 5 minutes? Yeah, I can hear you. Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let me know, Eric. 3, 2, 5, 6. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Test, test. 1, 2, 3. Mic check. Talk to me. Thank you. Mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check.
Minutes. We'll start. Is everyone ready? And I'll step over to the microphones.
Yes, sir. We're ready.
Gentlemen, y'all come up here. Yes, sir. All right, is everybody ready? Okay. My name is Captain Shane Ware with the Vestavia Hills Police Department. I would like to start by recapping the briefing that I gave to you an hour or so ago. At about 6:22 this evening, the Vestavia Hills Police Department was dispatched to a call of an active shooter located at St. Stephen's Episcopal Church, which is at 3775 Crosshaven Drive, Vestavia Hills, Alabama. Multiple law enforcement and multiple fire departments responded to the scene. Initially, during my first briefing, I gave you some preliminary information that I would like to update at this time. As of this time, it has been reported to us that 3 people were shot during the incident inside of the church. 2 of them are currently being treated at a local hospital, and unfortunately, one of the persons that was shot is deceased. I don't have any identifying information that I can provide to you at this time concerning the identities of the victims. Our next scheduled briefing will be after 9 p.m. at this same location. I do want to reiterate to you that the suspect involved in this event is in custody, and that we know of no additional threat to either the community of Vestavia Hills or our neighboring community of Mountain Brook. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the numerous law enforcement and firefighting agencies, both local and federal, that have responded to assist us in our response to this call and to this investigation. That would include the Mountain Brook Police Department, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department, the Shelby County Sheriff's Department, the Hoover Police Department, the FBI, the ATF, the U.S. Marshals Service, the Rocky Ridge Fire Department, the Mountain Brook Fire Department, and the Hoover Fire Department. As in the earlier briefing, I'm not going to be able to take questions. And again, I'd like to reiterate that I expect to meet with you again a little bit after 9 p.m. Thank you.
Yeah, they want us to talk to someone live. Yeah. Yeah, hold on a second. Let me ask if they want it live or not.